There's no trance in baseball. This is Deb Helfrich, hashtag redheaded She-Hulk, like that intro. So I'm just sitting here explaining to myself why Dave Chappelle, why stand-up comedy. And the way I saved my life from a toxic mold exposure that completely decreased my ability to walk and talk just 2 years ago, I was at the point of being a person who died quietly in her sleep while awake. But what I did was learn the art of trance, flow, artistic flow, altered states of consciousness. Now, I'm a degreed philosopher from Carnegie Mellon University. And thinking about the hard problem of consciousness has been my whole life. And I have sorted it into a much easier dilemma. I understand what consciousness is so well that I have got to go occupy Yellow Springs just to get a chance to have Dave Chappelle become my patron saint of stand-up philosophy. Now, I need him because I lived a life of total isolation. Well, close to total. I was morbidly obese since I was an infant. 333 pounds I got up to just 2 years ago. Got the pictures, got the videos. I have executed a midlife metamorphosis that completely changes how we think about chronic disease, environmental illnesses. I've created an entire branch of philosophy, hashtag well-being philosophy, that I want to stand on stage and talk about for the rest of my life, which is probably another 50 years. Because I understand how bioelectricity works. Look, we've got chemistry and biochemistry. We need to have an entire focus on bioelectricity, how human bodies operate. Our brains and our hearts, they are electrical organs. We need to dial into that because that talks about thought. That talks about soul. Mind, body, soul, health, well-being. It's all about bioelectricity. So I am the little redheaded girl who's grown up to be able to give Sigmund Freud vagina envy. And yet I can't get anyone to support my work. I have not earned a penny yet in sharing a unifying theory of human energy, potential, and well-being based on the philosophical hypothesis of bioelectricity. This is because of y'all. Y'all have 2-second attention span as far as I'm concerned. I have had to drive 3/4 of the way across the country. I go to my alma mater, Carnegie Mellon, and it is crickets on a build it, they did not come type of field. There's no trance in baseball. So what that means is I understand brainwaves. I really do. And the reason I came back to my research university is to get someone to hook some electrodes up to my brain and get some real data on my hypotheses. But I'm She Einstein. I understand what I'm talking about. My hypotheses, we can work with the language, we can work with a lot of the details, but overall, how do you lose 150 pounds in the 15 months after turning 50 and get completely ignored? Y'all turned into human consumings. Now, trance. This is a word that has the key to everything. It is an altered state of consciousness. It's being in flow, artistic flow, channeling the muse. That's what I'm doing right now as a stand-up philosopher, sitting in my car with my co-star Zanzi. I want to create web series. I mean, it's a pandemic. I'm saying stage quite broadly. Now, what I'm looking to do is get some support, some thumbs up from Dave Chappelle, get a patron, take myself back to Santa Cruz, California. This is an alternative locale. This is a very much more amenable environment to somebody who's had an environmental illness like myself. This Pittsburgh weather is cray-cray. Have y'all been to fucking California? I swear, it went for 3 hours. 3 hours. It was like 32 degrees, then 82 degrees. That's not humane. So anyway, we don't have many examples of humans out in the world entranced, talking in conversation so that we understand what trance is. Stand-up comics are the ones who've demonstrated trance. Here's the deal. I was thinking, well, musicians, dancers, sports people, they all demonstrate trance. There's no trance in baseball. Trance is a state of hyperactivity, hyperattention to something that brings you joy, that you have a lot of salience in doing. And being this generation's she Socrates and she Chappelle, that brings me into my artistic flow. So this is Deb Helfrich, hashtag redheaded She-Hulk. Wait till you see me Bill Bixby on this John. I have story after story after story after story. And I had no one to share them with. So I'm appealing to Dave Chappelle. Let's get me some executive producers. Let's get me some newbies, some youngins trying to hit you up. And you're like, nah, yeah, I don't know. They need tested. I'll test them. Definitely. I am up for launching a few other careers alongside. Where my Neil Brennan at? That's what I'm talking about. All right, yo. Time to prepare myself to occupy Yellow Springs. I'm on my way. Do not test me. I take tests very well. But here's the thing. I invent tests to expand consciousness when we are on the brink of self-extincting our species. Much better than I take tests. Here's the deal. Yesterday, just around this time, I had a trusted, brand new LinkedIn connection tell me I need to pivot my work to grade schoolers. I haven't been asked out on a date. Not kids. She's saying, well, adults can't handle your energy. That's why we talk about trans. But I know how to use E equals MC squared to completely change how we all think about human energy. I gotta say to old people with the money so we can ensure that we are not the generation to self-extinct our species. We must wake up. Wake up. Wake up. And when I get my feature film starring Lamont Rucker and Jill Scott and myself, executive produced, I am not, you're going to take a long time to get me to not have the ending of School Days be the start of my movie. I love me some Spike. And the only reason I'm alive today, after growing up with the Tiki Torch whites in Ohio for the first 17 years of my life where I was not touched, I was not cherished, nobody listened to me, I took a decision in first grade not to talk. You see why it's all coming out? It's just locked up in me. The reason I'm staying alive is because I went to Carnegie Mellon and black people started touching me. And I am going to be demolishing racism with every breath I take. I know you might not see it all coming, right? Because I'm not approaching it from the angle of everyone else. I want to demonstrate racial harmony. I want to create my stand-up. I want to create a way for other people to do stand-up just like me. Like, not like Saturday Night Live skit, like comedy stand-up. But like, pour out your trauma to try to change society so other people don't have to go through what we went through. Stand-up philosophy. Socratic dialogues, Socratic monologues. This is what we need, yo. We need to learn to stop motherfuckers with this kind of like exhaust. That sound is creating carbon dioxide that is poisoning everyone waiting for the bus right there on the corner. Life-centric thinking. We are really all being poisoned. And we have 2-second attention spans. That's why we don't pay attention to all the alarms in our bodies going, something's wrong, something's wrong. I did, because I led a life of real isolation. But that made me be somebody who could always stand up to peer pressure. And that's why I am dead fucking destitute at 52. Scrounging up my pennies going, can I make it to occupy Yellow Springs? And I don't want to disturb Dave. I just want to show up, drop my videos, be like, he can holler at me. But when I think about, I introverts and Dave and personal, like boundaries, but Dave in Sticks and Stones and in his Kennedy Center speech, he's been daring me. Red Rover, Deb, do your work in the world. Turn this motherfucker over, is what Dave Chappelle has been intuitively, subconsciously saying. He'll block and tackle for anyone trying to do the work of stand on stage telling their truth on behalf of all 7.8 billion humans across every nook and cranny of the globe. That's me. I cannot pretend that, risky as this is, it's what I was born to do. Harmony, yo. I'm coming to apply for the job vacancy that Anthony Bourdain left. I'm going to create the best job in the world for myself. And I am going to dedicate that chance to making a world that all of our youth deserve. This is what I took from my friend saying I should pivot my work into first graders. I just like to keep reminding you all that everything I say and do, all the ways that I am challenging, all of the deep intellectual concepts I'm trying to get you through your 2-second attention span filter. This is so we are not the generation who self-extincts our species because we're obsessed with buying shit. We are in a real civilizational crisis across many levels. I'm the little red-headed girl who knows there's no trance in baseball. Harmony.